This week on New to You,
Hot.
Part 1, Screamers, or the second variety. Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of the New to You show. I'm one of your hosts, John Holt. With me is
Pt1 Vincent, one of your hosts.
I'm your other host, Julian Cage, and with us this week,
Special guest.
Adam Mater. I'm back.
welcome
Yeah,
back.
welcome back, Adam.
Thanks
It's
for
good to
having
see
me,
you.
fellas.
Jules is
You're always
losing
welcome
control. So, New to You Show is a show where we review and discuss stuff along a topic, stuff that may or may not be new to people, or this is their second time discovering it. So, heck, go for it with a new perspective.
Yeah, give it a
Our
try.
perspective.
Yeah.
The correct
What's
perspective.
the worst that can happen?
Yeah. So this topic is hot, and everyone's brought something different to the table.
Yeah, it's springtime, Things
Yeah.
are warming up. We're getting out of, the
Summer
the
almost.
Ice caps are melting. We're in a good spot.
Yeah.
Finally gets ahead.
We're getting closer to that Cold War.
Mhm.
The
Tearing
hot,
up those
hot heat.
Paris Accords papers and lighting a
right.
barbecue with them and having your friends over.
That's right. Spraying some CFC-laden mosquito cans around.
Mhm.
Choking some birds with some soda pack rings.
Destroying the coral reef with all the sunscreen we're putting
I
on.
know. A single
It's
tear
getting hot
down
out
John
there.
McCain's eye.
He's a maverick.
I never vote the way I talk. Oh, that's political corner.
Oh, yeah. You're welcome,
All right.
public. I know you're hungry for political satire.
A world overlooked and long forgotten by those who settled it. For Commander Joseph A. Hendrickson, it is worse than hell. It is home.
What are they?
There is a new terror in their midst.
Call it a screamer. It was developed for us by Alliance on Earth to neutralize the war on the ground here.
How do you know it's dead?
And they yanked this brain out.
Pretty smart.
Yeah, maybe too smart. This one seems to not.
Getting into a heavily political movie from the 90s, I'll pop it off. I'll start with Screamers. It's my pick for hot. It is a 1995 feature from Columbia Pictures Distribution, produced by Triumph Films. Screenplay by Dan O'Bannon, who wrote Alien and starred in Dark Star.
well, he
Well, he
co-directed it, right?
He made Dark Star as
I
well.
think
He was
Right.
also
Yeah.
well. He was the
he co-wrote it, I mean.
he was the screen. Yeah, there's also Miguel Tejada Flores.
But he's-
But it's based on a short story by Philip K. Dick called Second Variety. And the story, I'll start with the Screamer story.
The movie.
The
the
movie,
film,
yeah.
The adapted
So
version.
the reason it's hot is because it's all kinds of radioactive. And that's that's where my hot came from. So
And it's like kind of a desert, like in a lot of those scenes.
yeah,
Although they seem to be cold
they're
for
like
a lot of
in
the movie.
yeah, it's like a nuclear winter kind of
Yeah, but it
situation.
looks like a desert.
But it's in South America, so it's nuclear summer.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
So the conceit is that in this movie you have a planet that's a mining planet where they're mining this source of fuel that is supposed to be super clean and everyone's really excited about it.
Beryllium.
Beryllium. But in the course of mining it, they release a bunch of radioactivity into the atmosphere. It's sort of like corporations versus union kind of thing, where the union people say, we're not going to work under these conditions. There's like a whole like mining town.
It's kind of like a civil war, but it's against like
right. It's like a union.
business.
It's like a coal miners union
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like that's the macro version of it. They have this pitched battle between the NEB, which is the corporation, and the workers whose names
We were all NEB
Uh,
once.
yeah, the Alliance they call themselves, which
Mhm.
is a union basically. So the union, in the course of things, so they've dropped bombs on stuff, they've dropped bacteria weapons, they've decimated the planet.
The whole planet.
And the union was on the back leg, and they built these automatic factories to generate killing machines, like little robots that would go wipe out.
Wait, it's the union that did that?
The union created
It wasn't NEB?
not the NEB.
Oh, I
The
totally
union
mixed
created
that up.
the screamers, and so they call them screamers because they kind of shriek as they come at you. They
Because
also
they're
call them-
basically saws.
right.
Yeah. They're
also-
like
yeah.
saws with brains.
Exactly. They call them autonomous mobile swords. That's like their thing because they swing a sword.
They're called claws in the book, right?
Yeah, they're called claws. And claws seems a little bit better, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Screamers
especially
is-
because they kind of scrape along the
Yeah.
surface.
Mm.
So there is, you don't really see them. It's very Tremors, this sort of like
Yeah.
thing. The first time you see them, it's like a phantasm ball on wheels kind of thing, like on treads. You kind of start from the perspective of the Union watching this lone soldier come towards their base. And
An enemy soldier.
an enemy soldier, and you watch him get tore up by a screamer, and he happens to be holding a tube that is from the NEB commander saying they want to talk peace. And so the Peter Weller is the commander of the alliance of the Union group, and he has to make a decision whether he wants to go barter or discuss peace, barter peace, or whatever it is, that word. So he goes out after some like back and forth to go talk peace.
Well, there's also kind of a big reveal that motivates him to leave, which is that basically they had communications with
Some off planet.
with people off planet, and then it's revealed that maybe this whole time they've been duped, like they've been getting fake messages, and so actually
The war's been
their
fed.
their
for
whole
no good reason.
awareness of the situation is wrong, and he kind of realizes like, oh, we're just being strung along here,
We're just pawns.
and we've been forgotten.
But that whole thing, like, it's very confusing, and you don't know what is a ruse and what's not. And that's part of it.
I think it's kind of. I mean, I just brought it up because it's kind of important in that it adds to the like atmosphere of paranoia that like you just don't
The
know what is
mystery,
real,
yeah.
what's not, who's what.
And then they do pretty quickly, like, there's for no good reason a crashed ship in the middle of like
Not
in
for
front
no
of their
good reason.
base.
The reason is that it reveals this information and introduces us to a
Well,
character
but
who
it's
has
but
more
it's
knowledge.
also just like it's very convenient. It just kind of it literally falls out of the sky right in front of their base.
Yeah.
John,
and
is
they
it
go deal.
convenient for the 38 casualties of that jet, that
They
spaceship?
coulda- they
No,
coulda
it is
all-
not
They
convenient.
could have all
for
been
them.
robots.
Well, maybe.
So the sky crash lands, and they find out he's a soldier being sent to this new mining colony that they
On
they
another
think was gonna be, yeah, so they're sort of like the whole thing may start again, like another war may break out. So they're not very happy about that. So they're like, well, let's
Almost
just,
like another front of this same
right.
war. Yeah.
So this commander Hendrickson heads off with this newfound fresh meat soldier off of that fallen transport, the lone survivor. And you think, oh well, we don't know the kid's provenance. We don't know if he's a robot or what. And they have these
Well,
tabs.
at this time we don't need to work. We're not thinking that anyway.
Well, but you don't-
You're not, but
you don't,
John is.
Yeah.
but you don't know what. But you also don't know what this guy's deal is. Like he's the lone survivor of a group of soldiers, and
And he doesn't seem to know about screamers.
he doesn't know much of anything, right? So
Well, I mean, he wouldn't if he's like a soldier just pointed. He's a weapon pointed at the enemy. You know what I mean?
right. Well, but that's the thing. So we're also in as much in the dark, and so like you're saying, Jules, it's this atmosphere of paranoia and guessing. So they start trudging across the wastes through like burnt out and ruined cities. They have these tabs that basically mask their heart rate, make them dead to the screamers, so they aren't traced by them. And
They're basically bracelets that protect them from the
Right.
screamers. Yeah.
and as long as you have it on, the screamers won't go for you. And,
Or will they?
well, that's the thing. So one, they could override that, but two, I guess radiation locks them up is sort of one of the conceits, so they don't always work real good. This guy,
freaking radiation, man.
yeah.
Come on.
So this guy goes out there and runs into a group. He runs into a kid first who has a teddy bear, and the kid is like, "I want to come with you. I want to come with you." And so he goes with them, much to his protestation. And the green kid, the rookie soldier, says, "Yeah, bring this kid along. Like we can't just leave him out here." So yeah, there's that, and So they keep going. They run into the enemy encampment. They kind of see the first bunker, and they're shot at. And it's not Peter Weller who's shot at, the commander.
Wait, you glossed right over the cool part where the rookie's tripping out on his sweet VR porn.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
We're like, how come you didn't hear that?
And
What are you
almost gets
doing?
killed.
Yeah.
Great. It's pretty lame, but yeah.
Well, I mean, you just don't understand.
You've had
Your brain.
You've had better.
Yeah, I've had better.
Your brain's not ready for that kind of technology.
Exactly.
Is the only problem.
So they reach the bad guys' base or whatever, the NEB base, and they're shot at, and the NEB guys shoot the kid, blow him open, and the kid's a robot. Oh my god!
He's been a robot the whole time.
And so
And the whole time too, Peter Weller, the commander of this base, is in contact with his buddies back at the base as well.
and he's losing contact here and there because of
It's
radiation.
radiation. Yeah, radiation. It's hot.
It'll get you.
Hot. So yeah, they go off into this base. They find out that the bad guy base, the NEB base, may have been compromised, and so there's just this handful of soldiers left. These two dudes, and then this woman who shows up.
Who's hot.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and for no good reason, she gets naked.
No, but she knows him.
Well, it's probably because the film was directed by
because of
dudes
radiation.
to generate paranoia.
No. She
and confuse them.
She knows Peter Weller. though, right?
different from mine? I've never seen a body like this. I was very confused. What are these feelings?
Now I'm a screamer.
Can I come with you?
Yeah, I'm already there. So,
Too late, madam. Buy yourself something nice.
But she knows Peter Weller's character, right?
No.
Isn't that established? I thought she's
No.
called him by his name or something. No?
he just introduces it. She's just like,
They're
hey,
just-
what's up?
They're just fast friends.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, that's how
He's
it
got-
is in the
he's
in
got
a war
cigarettes.
zone.
It's a meat cute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she has real
Like meat,
scotch.
Literally, he's made of meat. So they try to infiltrate the bad guy base to learn more about what happened, and they kind of find that this place has been overrun, and that there are not only are there Davids, but there are other types of robots out there. They've been adapting and being generated by these automatic factories.
Yeah, so the Type 1 are these just basically little
Phantasms
underground
on treads,
they're
yeah.
underground saws basically that are very small, kind of I would say rabbit size or something. And then the Type 3s are the Davids, which are look completely like humans and talk and stuff.
Right. Well, there's also this lizard. I think
Yeah,
I think
like
there's
a data
the
collection.
basic type is just that saw one.
Oh, right.
Then
There's modified Type 1s.
Then there's a
right.
modified, which are Type 1 lizards. And then the David is a Type 3. So what's the second variety? So in the short story that I'll get to in a second variety is the big question mark that's hanging out there. So, yeah.
How do they know that there is a second variety? Does that come
Well,
up in their...
Yeah, because they're basically for some reason he's able, every time they shoot somebody, another convenient device is that it
these
just so
chips,
happens to
yes.
expose the chip that shows their part or whatever. So he sees that bit and is like, oh, this says Type 1. This says Type 3.
Yeah.
And then, he
Or
eventually...
one was Type 1, upgrade or something like...
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think he put at one point he took one of the chips, put it in the mainframe
Machine, and it tells him
computer,
stuff,
and I
yeah.
told him that that's when he found out there's a Type 2 out there.
Right. And some sweet computer
But
graphics.
I think these Ripper thing, I mean the Screamer things...
Tremors.
Yeah, but I think what might not be clear is that they were designed by Peter Weller's faction of the war, that by their group, as a way to kind of neutralize the ground war, to give them a leg up on the ground war. But what
Right.
they did is they created these things. They're automated.
Right.
They're
The
AI.
factories are
Self-replicating.
also
Right,
automated.
and they just built a factory for them things to just build themselves, and that's why. And this is basically the evolution of that.
Right.
I don't
And-
know at one point something was struck by lightning. I'm sure of it.
Maybe.
That's the only way that this can go so haywire.
Oh, it's definitely not man's design.
No,
No, God wanted it to happen.
Yeah.
something Johnny Fived this thing.
Yeah.
Radioactive lightning.
So it's one of the soldiers in this paranoia kills another, but the one that gets killed is a flesh man. He's a real meat person, so he's not a robot. And then so there's still this hanging suspicion that is this new now it really is in the air. Is this new soldier guy a robot? Are these two NEB people robots? Is Peter Weller a replicant? you
Well,
know?
the thing too is that the new character, the new like young fresh character, he
Jefferson.
came by on
Yes,
the
yeah.
on the shipwreck, but he didn't have a wristband.
Right.
But the kid David also didn't have a wristband, so that's another thing.
I was
That's
gonna
pointing
say
you to,
it seems suspicious that a kid would have survived.
Right.
It's sort of like when they find Newt in Aliens. It always
Yeah.
bothered me that she didn't die. It's sort of
Mhm.
like,
Don't worry, she did before the third one, so you're all right.
oh, that's right, yeah. Way to bring down the
Well-
room.
Well, you were bothered by it, so I was trying to help you out.
Just fixing that black hole, filling it in with tar, just like they did with her.
Spackle it up.
So yeah, I mean, I'll just spoil it out. It's fine. It's all about this journey, but it's eventually
All about the opening credits.
eventually like it's revealed that one of the other soldiers is a bad guy robot, and they don't know what type he is. It's a big question mark.
Mm-hmm.
And then so then it's just Peter Weller and the woman trying to get to an escape rocket, and maybe both of them can get off and get back to Earth. And he goes, like, for some reason he kisses her at some point.
To try and get off.
Yeah, exactly.
The planet.
Well, I think it's mostly to drink the radiation smoke from her lungs, because they also smoke these red cigarettes that cancel out the radiation in the atmosphere, but and they're running out of those as they get closer to thing, which is sort of it's a moot point. Anyhow, they get to this base, they get to the rocket. There's like 3 different fight scenes in the rocket area. He kills another one of these guys who for some reason has a different face than it would have. Like they just kind of put his friend's face on it for no reason, but it's supposed to be the same robot from before. And then
Well,
Like Hannibal Lecter style, where like
Yeah.
literally
Yeah,
the
kinda.
face. Okay.
yeah, so it's sort of
I
like,
think it's because his other body was messed up, so he's like, I'm just gonna take this one.
but no, I think it's a dupe, but it's a new version of the robot with a different.
Oh, I thought it was
face.
the same one who
It's the
who
same
got
type.
damaged.
It's the same type of robot, but it's a different.
But so they
Oh,
have
this
like
is
a
so
hive
mysterious.
mind.
We'll never know the
So
answer.
you're implying they have a hive mind? Because I thought it was the
Maybe.
same model who just
No,
took,
I think
took
they're
the
just.
face.
I think it's because he was saying like, "We'll take your face and update you." It's just not very clear, not very well done. So anyhow, he gets.
I hate this movie.
So he gets to the ship and he's like, one of us can go. You go. There's only room for one in the ship. I'll queue it up and you go. And she's like, no, I can't. Oh, I'm so tortured. Why can't you? And then another one of her walks up and is like, I'll tell you why. Basically, like, so now she's a replicant.
Right.
And
Yeah, and that
for
reveal
some-
was like
so
such
garbage.
a waste.
And for some reason, and he like throws her away. He's just like, blah, gross.
I mean,
And
to
then-
be fair, that's she's the
But
enemy.
she's in love with him and fights the other
Do you
her.
think Peter Weller, not to sidetrack this, do you think Peter Weller was like, my character's going to be so handsome and hot that even a robot falls in love with
Well,
him?
and smart. It's important. That
And
he's very
smart, right, right.
He's into like classical music and collecting coins from.
And he hates
Rome.
war.
Mhm.
He hates war.
Sophisticated.
Ugh,
Yeah,
yeah,
but he's had a hard time.
yeah.
Just looking. You remember when we were on the beaches, just looking out over the horizon. I wish we were back there. Man.
Claws everywhere.
And yeah, so he gets in the ship after he watches his girlfriend kill his girlfriend, and then
But which one wins?
exactly? You don't know.
I think when his girlfriend kills his girlfriend, that softens him up a little bit.
Yeah, but then his rocket kills his girlfriend through the afterburner, and she cooks up.
Aw.
And then he gets in,
But
and
that's the bad
for some
girlfriend, right?
reason, he's brought the teddy bear along this whole time, and the teddy bear comes to life as he flies away. So,
Ominous.
ooh, spooky.
That's second variety.
Yeah,
Mhm.
who knows? It's not.
It's a, yeah.
The movie's a mess.
I was going to say it's a lot more complicated than the short story.
Yeah. So before I go to the story real quick, there's a lot of stuff that's like pretty, because it's a Philip K. Dick story, and one of the most famous ones in terms of adaptations is probably Total
Johnny
Recall.
Mnemonic.
I was
Yeah.
going to say Minority Report
Yeah.
or Total Recall, yeah.
But no, I mean Blade Runner is like a huge,
Oh, sure, yeah.
like in terms of short stories being adapted into things like
Yeah.
and especially when you're talking robots and who is who and these questions of like what is humanity and all this stuff.
I'm still going to have to go with Johnny Mnemonic on this one, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Paycheck.
Barjo. The Philip K. Dick stuff is pretty heavily they're pretty heavily referencing Blade Runner and trying to emulate some of its better parts by having the robots speak in Shakespeare and have like these sort of like eloquent, like, oh, they can speak Shakespeare and feel feelings. They could almost be human.
Right.
But it's
So
really heavy-handed.
That's what they were trying to do. It didn't even occur to me that they were aiming that high.
Right. No, it's just
That's why you know that the young guy wasn't a robot because he was such a surfer guy, a
Right.
dumb surfer guy.
so that's and then like the I think one of these name is Decker, which it's kind of close to
Yeah,
Decker.
it's sort of weird.
Oh, it's
But-
Becker.
Becker. Oh,
Yeah.
So, but
one of the bad blonde one. Or what?
Was he the guy that was sharpening the knife? And they were
Yeah.
like, "It's never sharp enough."
yeah, and he's like, but he's making, of course, the screaming sound as he
Yeah.
Yeah.
like whetstones it.
And it's like the little
shitty
little
tear
boy
attachments.
like makes sense, but
Except when there's like
But
a
the
million
Becker-
of them coming out of the bunker, and they're all different heights because they
Right.
couldn't afford to.
They couldn't cast him.
Yeah.
right?
but
Yeah.
but the Becker robot like makes no sense. Like
Sure,
that-
it's like Terminator. I mean, Terminator is just a killing machine.
I
He
guess,
doesn't
but-
have to look like.
But then
his-
why would he be hiding amongst
why
them
have
and
different
pretending
versions?
this whole time?
So
he can gather information.
so this.
but
kind
again,
of,
if you want an information gatherer, you don't make a creepy guy with a knife. Like that's what I'm saying.
He was He's the right man for the job at the time, man.
yeah.
If you're fitting in with the mercenaries and the like scum that's still left,
I guess.
gotta send a
guess.
weirdo. Like I'm surprised he wasn't didn't have an Australian accent.
So it's interesting to note that this movie was stuck in development hell for like a decade. In fact, O'Bannon finished this adaptation before he finished his adaptation of We Can Remember It For You Wholesale, which was
i.e.
Total Recall.
Yeah.
Ah.
Right? So
O'Bannon wrote Total
he
Recall.
he did the adaptation for the screenplay. And
Did
then,
was he the final screenplay?
I think so. Let me.
Did he write the line "Get your ass to Mars"?
get
Get
your
your
Ask
ass
the
to
Moz.
Moz.
He was
I
he
love
was
that
one
movie.
of three people, along with Gary Goldman and Ronald Shusett.
Okay.
To
Yeah,
do
he's
that.
definitely responsible for that line.
and that's
And,
that's 19.
Shoot the potty, Richter.
So this movie.
But really, without Arnold saying all
Yeah.
those lines, it just wouldn't be.
I mean
the
that
same.
Doesn't
bit
jump
where he
off the
pulls the thing
page.
out of his nose,
Yes.
like or he's like
Yeah, the head expanding.
Yeah.
Well, the eyes bulging bit is
Right.
awesome. Yeah.
When he changes into the woman, that's the best.
Yeah. Yeah. And she malfunctions.
2 weeks. We're talking about the wrong movie here. We're
I
supposed to
know.
be talking about
Well,
screamers.
so little trivia. So this movie was optioned in '83, and
By the time they filmed
Yeah.
it, it still looked like it was made in
exactly.
83.
so Total Recall, which
Age
was
to
optioned
perfection.
later, was released in '90, and this one was released in '95. So
Yeah.
it just took forever to make this movie, and it's like it's just halfway there.
Yeah.
It was
And it had half the budget it needed.
right.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it was a lot of practical effects that
Mm-hmm.
were like cool, but they were cool again 10, 15 years earlier,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, there were a bunch of effects that were pretty decent and that made it obvious that it wasn't the 80s. Like I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this must have been later because there were I can't remember specifics, but
Like
there
that
were
weird force field thing they just kind of walk through like almost
Yeah.
unnecessary things.
yeah.
Yeah, but you watch this movie and it's interesting because I feel like there was a tier of movies for a long stretch that was kind of like it's like a B movie. It's just like
Right.
the second
it's,
shelf
It's
movie.
like Robot Jocks or
Yeah.
or like Arena or one of
Yeah,
those
exactly.
Kind of
But that's the thing. I
but
feel like,
those were straight to video, and this one had a theatrical release.
yeah, I feel like this one even budget wise is somewhere in the middle. Like it's
Yeah.
not that you can
Right.
tell like the budget's a little too high to be like a straight up B movie,
Mhm.
but it's not good enough to be a full on
But
Hollywood.
think of this movie, guys.
But it was
This
good
came
enough
out
to
in
get a sequel
95.
in 2009.
It was.
This movie came out in 95. What year did Jurassic Park come out? Like 90?
93 or 4.
Yeah. Like
Right.
Jurassic Park came out before this movie.
Right.
Like Lord of the Rings
Well,
came out.
Terminator 2
just
came
five
out
years-
before
Yeah,
that. So here's
92.
some-
Yeah.
Budget 20 million. What do you think the box office was?
8 million.
Almost 5.7.
Oh my goodness.
So it
Out of
did-
Mr.
did
Weller's
not
pockets.
do- yeah, exactly.
Don't
I
worry,
was
guys.
gonna
They'll-
ask you-
they'll still make it back.
He
What's
got
the
paid
critical-
in RoboCop. And
And was
memorabilia.
it who directed it? Was it like a first time director or something?
Christian Duguay.
Because it seemed to have like
There's some weird choices.
yeah, like an like I did notice in the beginning, there's all these super intricate like camera shots that are
Like
unnecessary.
long one shots and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh well, they blew their budget early, and
I mean, this is a
it
guy,
wasn't
like-
worth it.
This guy's directorial debut was on TV with Scanners 2, The New Order.
Ah.
And then his second directorial was Scanners 3, The Takeover. But then he did Livewire. Livewire was a pretty good one. Like, again, not great, but that's okay.
It's just as good as Screamers.
Yeah, with Pierce Brosnan.
The interesting thing about it is, like, if you watch the beginning, it's like the sound's not even right. Like it's like they don't even have the right microphones or something.
Well, I think that might have.
audio's
That might have.
weird.
Did you watch the crappy version on YouTube?
I watched the crappy version. I also watched one of the links that Holt sent me that was like on something other than YouTube.
But I think both of those had weird sound problems. Because
Yeah, but it seemed to fix itself over time. So I just had assumed it was just the beginning parts. But maybe you're right. But the lighting, I thought, was just like, man,
Yeah.
this same script and movie in the hands of like a team that like Von Trier. I mean, not Von Trier.
Oh no!
No.
Well, like a-
Sharpening on the
I'd say
whetstone.
like a Verhoeven.
Yeah, that's what
Yes,
I was trying to
yeah,
say.
exactly.
Verhoeven would have been great. I mean, even with
well,
like,
he made Total Recall.
and he made RoboCop. I mean, it was,
Yeah.
Right. And he made Starship Troopers.
yeah.
So, and I mean, it's, just
You're leaving one out.
Showgirls.
Yep.
Yeah. That's one of his art forms.
The female form.
Let me pop over to the story real quick because it has like
The short story.
the short story.
Philip K. Dick.
The short story by Philip K. Dick from 1954.
Oh
it was-
wow, 54.
Oh no, sorry. It was actually prior to 54. It was what was it?
That's
in?
crazy. This really
53.
This really felt like it was like a Vietnam thing. It really felt like it was like commentary
No, it's
on
Russian.
Vietnam.
It's he's
it's like pre-space
his was
race.
like Cold War. So it's like
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I get that, but the movie felt like it was.
Well, the movie must have been messed up because obviously they were past both Cold War and
Yeah.
Vietnam.
well, Korea, right, would be
I don't even know.
But I feel like the movie was just playing on a lot of those kind of like
Just
space
war
military
tropes, yeah.
trope
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
So in the short story, it's very much the same situation, except it's Earth, and it's the Soviets and the United States, or not even the United States, just resistance soldiers. There's just not many people
Also, it's
left.
not even another planet.
It's Earth, and so because he was very much into like Earth gets slagged, like
Yeah.
we're just living.
I think I would have preferred that.
Yeah. So they're on Earth. Same kind of deal. A Russian soldier comes over a thing. In this one, their tabs actually emit radiation that knocks out the screamers, like either stuns them or just keeps them at bay. So it's a little more active in what they do. And you still have the same character, Hendrickson. You have the same development where like a lone soldier comes over the thing, gets eaten by screamers, chopped apart. They go out, get this tube that like is a basically a call for a white flag, a call for parlay.
Armistice.
Yeah, and so he goes out in search of this, runs into a David, and the same thing happens where they shoot the David to and dissolve it, evaporate it, and what is left are like bolts and bits and like gears.
And in the original story, are they aware that the screamers have evolved?
No, that's
Not
that's
until
when he
Davis,
learns
right?
that.
Yeah.
So they know that they keep being updated, that the factories keep the automatic factories keep making more types and upgrading them for the war effort. But it's a similar kind of thing where as this guy kind of quickly realizes that he is the lone human in this group of remaining
All
soldiers.
screamers.
Yeah. And so
Oh, he realizes it like en route.
yeah, well,
That's
this one it's like he still goes to that same base and he's not getting any
The
communication.
Neb base.
It's the Soviets in this one.
Right.
And they come to him. It's only two soldiers, and they're like, "Yeah, the base got compromised. David swarmed the thing, and so in this, it's just like it's like zombies, but they just swarm the place once they get in and take it over and kill everybody." So they're going to this other bunker with this woman who basically is a survivor who's sort of a neutral party who basically is like it's like the Mole Town kind of situation where they go to her they pay her in rations and stuff and she pays in kindness. And I don't know. So anyhow, they end up in the same situation where it's like him and a dude and another dude and this lady, and it's implied that there might be something going on with him and the lady already, but not like prior to him meeting her, but like they have a connection right away. And one of the two soldiers, the other two men, one kills the other. The one that is killed is a meat person. It's like, and it's a very, very similar development and tropes. And they pretty quickly, like, they're metal plates that say the types on them. So it's very, like, clear. Like, this is a type 1, a David's a type 3.
Yeah,
Or
what's her
even-
name? Tessa or something? She has like
Yeah,
a
like-
Russian name or
Yeah,
something.
Tessa is the
Or
name of the
Tesso
woman.
or
So,
something.
so this one of the other guys gets killed in the course of things, and they find out that, like, basically they kind of have this showdown. They're trying to get back to his base, and they end up finding out his base is overrun. They have the showdown with the Screamers. There's a bunch of these wounded soldiers, a bunch of Davids, and they kill this Klaus guy, who's the only guy left. And it turns out he's a Screamer too, or he's a Claw in this scenario. And he's a robot, and they look at his plate, and it doesn't say type 2 because they've been looking for the type 2 to fill in the one in the
Right.
you know what's
missing
between
link.
the David, and his is a type 4. So no, there's another one out there. What's going on? More of these guys keep swarming them. They get to the rocket ship. He's pretty beat up because she has a bomb that, like, wastes a bunch of them and is kind of, like, clearly made to destroy a bunch of them. And she gets to the ship and is like, "You're too hurt to get in the ship. You're not gonna like I'm the one who should fly to the moon where the Americans are and the resistance have a base, and they're sending orders down there. That's the last bit of humanity. That's where he's headed." He's like, "Well, you won't know how to get there." And she's like, "I'll figure it out." And so she eventually kind of overpowers him, and he realizes in the tussle that she's the second variety. She's the robot. And off she shoots into space while he's surrounded by and, like, swarmed by more of hers and more Davids and more of these, like, zombie waves of robots. And his last, like, comforting thought is that the robots had already started, because of these interactions, they had already started to fight one another and to design ways to destroy each other. And that was, like, his one sort of, like, cynical, like last thought,
Consolation
like, of hope
prize.
as he goes out, as he's taken down.
War never ends.
Yeah. So yeah, that is the second variety. But again, it's very short story, just, like, fun, and the pace is good and the paranoia is good. It's just a solid Philip K. Dick radioactive, like, this is the inevitable outcome
Paranoid
of
hellscape.
people. Right. Like, again, it's if after there's the radiation, like, if radiation and mutually assured destruction and these super weapons that we keep creating, if this is the paranoia at the time that's just going to destroy the planet anyways,
May as well throw some saw blades. in
right.
there.
Well, and also that the one of the robot in the story, Tessa, is infatuated with his gun and with his spacecraft, and basically saying, like, the things you people design are amazing. So it's basically the act of creation is something, but in a lot of ways, creation of weapons is something that, like, intrigues.
It's like a fetish
her.
or something.
Yeah. And also, like, this sort of it gets to something we might talk about in what's new to us, but, like, this very, like, Alien Covenant kind of situation. We won't spoil those if anybody has gotten into that, but or has not gotten into that. But yeah, so that's my pitch on that. I would say see the movie as with a bunch of people as, like, a schlock kind
That's
of.
what I was
going
going to ask you. I was going to say, but so your real recommendation is to read The Thing because that's the better of the two, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that there's not fun to be had watching a goofy, fun, old, bad movie, but the real thing you're saying is the Philip K. Dick story is actually really clever and
I think
cool.
his whole run of short stories, Second Variety, is a reason why it gets the cover of, like, volume 2 of the collected Philip K. Dick short stories. Like, it's a
Whoa, that's
what?
vaunted. That's a
Yeah.
vaunted.
The hit single.
Yeah.
And I think, in fact, the Weird Tales or whatever magazine it appeared in one of those, I think he had 2 stories in that same book, and one was under a pen name because at the time,
They didn't want to load it with Dick.
yeah, exactly.
Hey.
Space Science Fiction magazine didn't like to have two authors or 2 stories from the same author featured. They like to have variety. So
What was the other story? Do you know? Did it become
So he
like
became
Johnny
second.
Mnemonic?
He is the second variety.
Wait, but doesn't this
Oh, a
fit
teddy
more
bear
square-
wrote this story.
Doesn't this story fit more squarely into the Earth science fiction category?
Yeah, really. Come
Doesn't
on.
really take place in
Exactly.
space.
No, I guess the lady goes to space, and that's enough to get them. It's enough to make the magazine.
But yeah,
Barely made it. Listen, Philip. We like your story. We just have a few notes. Really like the claws. They're really cool. The Russia thing's really great, but there's really not enough space in here. Can you put something? Maybe just tag it on at the end. I don't know.
But still, like coming back to the movie, I think my biggest problem with it is it's not bad enough to be a good bad movie, and it's not good enough to be a good movie. So it sort of just ends up being like a very like
Mediocre.
yeah.
I think it'd be a good like riff movie or like MST3K.
Yeah.
Like it's
You know what would be good?
needs,
A
like,
good
it needs
HBO
some soft-
series. They need to just take this and remake it as an HBO series and make it good.
Well, what I was thinking is, so man starts
Too much like
automating, like,
Westworld.
generating. Well, that's where I was going to go, Jules. Thanks, thanks for shitting on the goof.
Well,
there.
you could have actually gone to Battlestar Galactica too, which is
Well, I was
the
gonna
same
say, I
thing.
thought of that
yeah.
a lot.
Oh yeah, that.
Is Battlestar related to this at all, or like was that an influence? Because just because
There's
of the
some-
way they have the woman and the
Mhm. And no one can detect it, and yeah,
right.
There's some aspects I would
there's
imagine,
a man
right?
also in Battlestar Robot.
a lot of I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of
And I mean, most of the series is at least the first few seasons are about who is and who isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because there are
totally.
people that
Yeah.
were cast members for
Right.
a couple seasons. It turns out they
And
were
so
Cylons.
so they all turn into these like
And they didn't even know it.
life raft
Mhm.
like paranoia situations.
Right.
I really hated in that show that they just abandoned the like, how can we detect them? They just abandoned it after like one try, which reminded me of that Simpsons joke where they're like, why do we always just try things once?
Well, I think the idea with that was that it was a success for the Cylons to undercut the test because
Well,
they
sure, but I don't know. It's
like it was good for the Cylons to have the test fail because it's like that was part of the tension of the thing was why don't they just come up with a test and then by having them actually like have a series of plot developments wherein the test is undermined makes it so that even if they come up with a new test,
Probably just paranoid.
I think
forever.
it's just
yeah.
like, hey, have sex with everyone if their spine lights up. They're Cylons.
But they haven't figured that out.
yeah.
Mm.
Plus, you have to be
Gentlemen, get to work.
Like,
I'll do it, Captain.
Drop
if
your
only,
trousers.
If only they had had orgies, they would have gone to the bottom of
No,
this
or if
very
if the guy was classy and had a mirror on
Right.
his bed.
yeah.
It's true. It's
Yeah,
stuff
there's that one guy on Battlestar in his like leopard print sheets with his like he's rubbing
But no,
man butter
yeah.
on him and he's like, why don't the ladies come to me? I'm so lonely. Red light, these red lamps on and everything. I've got nothing but love.
But there's a couple of we were mentioning before we started recording that there were a couple of really odd movies at this time that kind of had this feel. And since we mentioned Starship Troopers, I think did come out around the same time too. And it had this intentional kind of like shtickiness quality to it too, though I feel like
But it had a good
Oh, no,
handle on
yeah,
it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Verhoeven is the master of that.
And yeah, just much better direction and
It came out a couple
better
years later.
everything.
But
Well,
there was another one. Was
more
it
ex-
who did?
97.
much bigger budget too.
Wes Craven did Ghosts of Mars, right? Was it Wes Craven or was it Carpenter, John Carpenter? One of the two of those guys. And man, if you watch Ghosts of Mars, I think it was around that same time. Maybe it was even later. It's just like,
2001.
yeah.
John
So
Carpenter.
2001. Watch that movie, and it feels like this movie, like it was made in 1987. It's so weird, and just not good. It rides that line of just not being good,
Yeah.
and not being bad enough to be kind of.
Well, and I think there was a rash of film adaptations of Dick stories that were bad.
Yeah.
Bad like good. No, there's Imposter, which is I had forgot this even existed until I googled it. It was a movie with like Gary Sinise and Vincent D'Onofrio. I can't say
D'Onofrio.
D'Onofrio, which is a pretty good short story too. Also, backstory: I had mono summer after junior year of college, and was just stuck in the hospital for like 4 days, or in the university health services, and read all of Philip K. Dick's short stories.
Oh,
That's like the only
That's like
thing.
the perfect state of mind to be in.
It kind of was. I was like crazed with like painkillers and like a pain, like throat was a mess, and I'd
Question of who you were.
fall asleep every like hour or so, and just blew through all of them. I remember thinking like, man, they make a movie of this. This is great, and then finding the movies and just being like, oh god,
Yeah.
like, I just felt like really dashed off, and like the people had like I don't know. It's just strange how bad.
Well, no, I think that's common. You find these revered writers, and no one can get their movies right. Like in comics, Alan Moore is the same way. It's like
Sure.
it's very few. H.P. We've talked several times that no one's really made a super great H.P. Lovecraft movie.
I'm just surprised because of how simple, unlike Moore and Lovecraft, I think these are pretty straightforward stories.
Yeah.
Like they're
Yeah.
not
Right.
like Watchmen seems tough because it's playing with like letters and like different forms
Yeah.
of writing, and like the panels are so interesting in the way it's like laid out on the page.
And it's a ton of characters. It's
Yeah, it's a lot of
pretty
right.
complex.
And it's actually a story that was ahead of its time, but by the time they made the movie, it was kind of like old hat.
Yeah.
Like this, like
yeah, because that had inspired so many
I
other
mean,
things.
Yeah.
not old hat for, I mean, like, I guess for superhero movie audiences, it was still, because they're seeing like Sony's third iteration of Spider-Man by that point. Like they hadn't really busted out into, like, I think you have an audience that is smart enough to do it, but they'd definitely been like candy fed.
yeah, but I mean, I feel like what the Impossibles, what was the Pixar one? I'm sorry,
Incredibles.
Incredibles did was what that comic did in the '80s, where it was just kind of like it personalized it in a different way that hadn't been explored yet. But by that time,
Or like Hitch. Or no,
Sorry.
Hitch was the one.
Kevin James had not been utilized.
But I think to your point, like I think it's because science fiction, unfortunately, has often been like a genre like horror, where it's just like a place that's successful off, like where there's a lot of low budget stuff
Yeah.
being dashed off. And I think
and they're like, the nerds will watch it anyway.
right, and I'm sure, like I know why people want to adapt these stories because they love them and they're great, but
Yeah.
it's not easy to pull off. And
Right.
I think also like it's rare that you get a science fiction. I think it's also expensive to make a good sci-fi movie. Just
Sure.
and it's risky because I mean, really, Philip K. Dick stories are mostly like depressing, and like not general audience really.
Yeah, like
and
Do
it's-
Androids Dream of Electric Sheep has an insane ending.
Yeah.
That they actually improved.
Right, and even Blade Runner, which is now I don't know how well it did when it initially came out
It's, like,
financially.
okay, I think.
Yeah.
But
All right.
yeah, it just did okay, and like the studio messed with it because they were freaked out by the bad
Sure.
ending and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's
And
just
and some people argue that their messing with it made it more palatable.
Yeah.
Like there's people who
It
say
made it
like they
clearer.
prefer the I mean it depends on who your audience
Yeah.
is in terms of
Yeah.
mass consumption. They adjusted course in a way that made it easier because it's already a dense movie
Yeah.
with a lot of ideas in it. So
Mhm.
But I feel like when a good one happens, a good sci-fi movie happens, it's kind of a fluke.
right. Well,
Or
that's
somebody
why
worked really, really hard.
in terms of adaptations of Philip K. Dick stuff, I really do think that Barjo, which is Confessions of a Crap Artist, is one of the better adaptations. But it's also not.
I don't think I even know what that is. What is that?
It's like it's a French movie
Mhm.
where
I haven't seen it.
you haven't seen it. I thought we watched it, but basically it's like a family and the brother-in-law. It's like a nuclear family in the like 50s or whatever, and the brother-in-law to the sort of like straight-laced husband of this family is a crazy conspiracy guy, like just kind of little like office rocker but harmless.
He's
Yeah, like-
he's the Philip K. Dick stand-in character.
He's the Philip K. Dick, but he's like a tinfoil hat guy. And so it's really about this guy who is living, who's basically like a square, 100%, and gets very angry when those boundaries are tested. Is constantly having to put up with someone whose perspective on the world is way out there, and who is definitely like maybe a little touched and is just kind of confused. So where it could be like a Rain Man story, but it's also this guy. He's like more like alien identity conspiracy kind of stuff. And so this guy's like, well, I'm kind of afraid for my kids, but I'm more afraid for my worldview, and I'm really annoyed at this guy. And so it's this interplay of it's a human tale, like a lot of Philip K. Dick stories, but it's all very close and it probably is more successful because it's not so heavily science fiction, which is maybe how like Through a Scanner Darkly could have been handled a little less like hoity-toity and a little more like basic.
Yeah, like so many of his stories, even though they might be in a very sci-fi setting, they're often very claustrophobic and very small. Like,
Sure, yeah.
You're mostly in one character's mind, and there's a small group of people around him most of the time. So I feel like, you could smartly adapt one of his stories to make it cheap but still very good.
Right.
But it's just like, I guess you just don't have that alignment of somebody who's capable of making that kind of movie, who wants to work with that material.
Right.
I mean, I wonder too, maybe because there's been big successes now, getting the rights might be tricky, and that's maybe why that was in development hell forever, because the studio doesn't want to let it go.
Right.
Because they are like, oh, we're going to keep optioning this because we don't want somebody else to make a good movie out of it
Right.
and make us look bad.
Well, also, and the person who has like optioned it and like written screenplays and had money against it already is a special effects guy, is a sci-fi like effects author who is into the gags and into like the visual aspects of things. So there are parts of it where I don't think it's avoidable at a certain point for the studio.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, are we all kind of in
So get out there and read some Philip K. Dick
Yeah,
books
are we all
and
in agreement
stories.
though that people
Even if you
shouldn't
don't
watch this
have
movie?
mono.
I mean, I don't know. It was fine.
I'd say if you wanted if you were having a cheesy movie night and it's
and
like
you have mono.
yeah, you have mono. Like if people
Or you're really high.
Or you're on like a Peter Weller marathon.
right,
Uh-huh.
if you're just getting
You had already
well.
watched Buckaroo Banzai. You'd already watched RoboCop. This is the only other movie he's ever in, right?
Yep,
Or watch one of his art lectures.
right. Well, he was in Cabaret. He was in
Naked Lunch.
Naked Lunch. He played the guy who
Mm-hmm.
curates everything.
Joel Grey.
Yeah, he played Joel
He
Grey
played Joel Grey.
in real life.
Earl Grey?
Money, 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 money.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
We're just making a joke that because old Peter Weller looks just like Joel Grey now.
I don't agree, but go ahead.
Who's Joel Grey?
He played in Cabaret. He was also
okay.
He was in The Player.
He's in a lot of stuff. But what was the movie where he played like a sensei? It was Remo Williams.
Remo Williams.
So in Remo Williams, they dressed up.
like a pregnant yak.
This guy? He does not look like Joel Grey.
That's what I agree with you, Julian. I don't think he looks like Joel Grey, but John does. But he's in Remo Williams. They make him the like bald Asian guy.
No,
It's-
but look
it's
at
really,
Peter Weller now.
That's too much work. I'm not going to be able to do a side by side though.
No, I think he looks more like Lou Reed if Lou Reed had short hair and was alive.
Yeah, Lou Reed now.
All these. This isn't him now, right?
Yeah, that's him now. Well, sort
They
of.
look the same.
Yeah,
He
there
sort of
you
looks
go.
like Robert Duvall now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I love his neckerchief in that picture.
Mm-hmm. That's
I
how
can't
that's
wait.
how you know he's serious about art.
Mhm.
Oh, I can't wait till they make old RoboCop.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That would be so good.
I'm getting too old for this.
Oh, he's rusty.
Yeah.
Oil can.
Oh, my gun's jammed again.
Yeah, the illegal drug is Centrum Silver.
It's like all this paperwork. Or he's just like he's now Robo Captain. I'll need your gun and badge.
Johnson, get in my office now.
You're a loose cannon.
Get out here. We are singing Happy Birthday to Jefferson.
RoboCop desk jockey.
So, Second Variety, I would read the story. It's in quite a few collections. It's actually on Project Gutenberg, so you can go find it for free up on there. A lot of great Philip K. Dick is up
it
on Project
actually
Gutenberg.
open source, like legally up
It's
there?
scanned, through the magazine print.
Scan darkly.
Mhm.
That's for the dickheads out there.
Hey!
Yeah, you
Had,
know you're out there.
So one last round. Had anybody? I don't think anyone else had seen this movie. prior
I
to
had
this.
seen this
You had
movie,
seen this movie.
yes.
Okay.
I hadn't even heard of it.
I'm sure I got it at Video Village, where I grew up.
Yeah,
Well,
I'd been
we-
vaguely aware of it just through researching Philip K. Dick adaptations and did not watch it because of its low critical reviews.
But who had read this story?
I had during my mono episode 11 years past.
Oh, I was gonna say it's weird because I worked at a video store at the time. I can't believe I
the
don't remember
poster.
this, but I do recognize the box cover,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but I didn't watch.
Because it also looks like Alien
What's in the
Mine.
box?
It's a very like common.
It's just Screamers, the video, sir.
Don't open it.
John Doe has the upper hand. John Doe has the upper hand.
This is an overdue movie. It's Screamers. Now you got to pay the late fee.
Well, the production stills look so much better than the movie.
They don't, though. They look just as bad.
I mean, the lighting looks way better.
The lighting is better. I will give you that. Because the one production still is actual, like, outside. using natural light.
The stop motion effects on the one robot that they actually like spent time on, the little lizard one, were actually pretty decent.
Yeah, and I liked
But
the
it-
sound effects at that one too.
Yeah, but again, it was like right at that transition point where like cool CG was starting to happen,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it looks
Yeah.
dated.
No, remember, Jurassic Park had already been out.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And
well,
T2.
no, yeah, Terminator 2, right?
I would put Jurassic Park over Terminator 2 as far as effects, wouldn't
but-
you?
No, not the liquid metal stuff.
Yeah,
The
for
liquid metal
for
stuff
robots.
doesn't hold up,
Oh
man.
man, guys, check
1991.
out this triple feature DVD set it was part of. The 13th Floor, Screamers, and Solo, starring Mario Van Peebles.
Which I've also seen on video.
That's a
It's like a
Wow.
What's the
Panavision.
13th
that's a triple
floor?
threat.
Oh, I remember
It was
that.
like
Oh,
a bad horror movie.
Yeah, I think I've seen that actually.
It's like the Lift 2.
Oh.
In
Anyway.
in England, it's the left.
There was the Lift though. It was a horror movie about an elevator in this building that like was killing people. So
All right,
stupid.
so computer scientist Hannon Fuller has discovered something extremely important. He's about to. Oh, that's too long. Never mind.
Anyway,
TLDR.
guys, we're making a podcast. I don't know
All
if you
right.
knew this.
So if you want more in this summer, if you want some of that, those skin piercing radiation waves, go read some Philip K. Dick. He's got lots of slag, lots of like what will happen pretty soon here if Trump isn't given his druthers. You just give the guy a chance or we're all going down. But yeah. All right. That's my pick, gang.
That's a
you-
good pick.
You can watch Screamers. It's on iTunes and
on
Amazon.
It's on YouTube
Yeah, it's on YouTube
for a while at least.
with like a Czech subtitle imprinted on it.
and terrible sound for
yeah.
some reason.
So yeah, that's all right. That's that one.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, that's that. Off we go.
Good one, Holt.
Screamers. Hey everybody. Can I
come with you?
come with you? I'm already there, David.
Are they alive? No one knows. They make themselves now.
I heard the screaming, and then it got very quiet. Nothing except the smell of death.
Chuck, we got a new kind of screamer.
He was like a person.
What are they supposed to look like? Oh, you mean who are they supposed to look like?
They're smarter now. That's how they get into our bunkers.
Once it gets inside, that's when the killing starts.
Now, the only way to tell man
He's one of them.
from machine is by the sound of their scream.
Things ain't what they used to be.
Such a question, there are many possible answers, such as hard work.
Feel I'm alone in this whole of existence. I know it takes time, but I'm losing my persistence. The distance is too far to fetch. So
Thanks for listening to another episode of the New to You Show. I was one of your hosts, John Holt. You can find me on Twitter at Lord Joho, and you can find me on Instagram at board_ghost, and you can find my other podcast, Board Ghost, at boardghost.com. Keith, where can people find you?
Well, first of all, you guys should check out Board Ghost. It's a really fun podcast. Good job, Holt. You can find me at earthlingkeith.com, a website I'm barely updating anymore.
And I'm Julian Cates. You can find me on Twitter at BeautifulJules. And how about you, Adam? Where can people find you?
This is Adamator. You can find me on adamator.com or my inconvenient Twitter handle, LLLmater, LLL.
All right.
I dread this part of the each episode.
Before we let you go, Adam, what's going on with you music-wise? Anything interesting?
Let's see. Music-wise, I'm actually working on an EP with a newish to everyone act called Ohmsburg. It features my friend Jared Olmstead playing a very Serge Gainsbourg style character.
Oh, cool.
I play guitar on it. My friend Matt Morello plays bass. He was in Mr. Dream with me back in the day. And then Jared normally plays in the duo Courtship Ritual with his wife, and he's on vocals. And hoping to get some live shows later in the summer.
Cool.
But yeah, so look out for that. We should have a new single. I don't know about
Jules has a blonde wig if you need a Bardot for any songs.
it. Ooh, interesting. Can Jules be the Bardot as well?
Yeah, that's right. I can do the orgasms.
Yeah.
He can go like, whiz, pop, whiz.
Bonnie. No, we'll probably need more like coughing and stuff. It's not as sexy as It's more
But
kind of like
it's
sickly.
It's called
Well-
Olmsburg.
Olmsburg,
Cool.
and it's more. He has
mean,
a whole backstory. He's actually not attracted to humans. He's a. There's not really a word. There probably is a word for it. He's sexually attracted to plants. So that's
Oh.
usually he's singing to them.
Sort of
the next
herbophile or something.
exactly, yeah, herbivore. But the newest song we just did is called "Nasty Fleurs." Terrible, terrible translation of the French fleur. But yeah,
Wow, I'm gonna
Yeah,
look
sounds-
out for that. That
sounds
sounds
fun.
fun.
All
When do you
right.
think? When do you think something's gonna be?
oh boy, I would hoping the EP's out by the end of the summer, or at least get.
We
us-
know you're gonna do one of them secret record releases, like
Mhm.
like Beyonce and them cats.
Yeah, you look up and be like, "Who's partying on the Statue of Liberty tonight? What's that all about?" A 4-song EP just dropped.
Who draped a French flag?
Olmsburg. Psh, psh, psh.
Way boy.
Zoom a zoom.
Before we get off into getting out of here,
Mm-hmm. New to me.
what was you, Keith, too new to you?
What was you to new?
new to me? Is the movie Logan.
Ooh.
I
So he's
watched
like, he reaches a certain age,
it. Mm-hmm.
and they're like, you better run, boy.
Did you guys? Did anybody see it?
Nope. I'd like
No,
to
I
see
thought
it.
it's
Nobody's
when he runs for a congressional district
Yeah.
with Logan's Run.
Yeah.
yeah. That he's been like, but his running mate has
It's
been
really
trained
neat
to
'cause
kill
it's-
him.
Right.
It's
But he doesn't
really
know
neat
it.
because it's a lot like Veep, except he goes on a berserker rage pretty often instead of
He
cussing.
survives any scandal anytime. He's just caught in bed with someone else and everything, and he just heals the campaign.
Or schnick, schnick, schnick.
But it's rated R. Yeah, this is the first Wolverine movie rated R, and they cuss a lot, guys.
And they cut up faces.
And guess
a
who
lot.
else? Guess who else? Professor X cusses a lot.
This is his last feature, X-Men feature, he says.
Yeah, come on. They always say that stuff.
My
They-
last fucking X-Men.
I'm sick of this shit.
It's just code word. It's just for code word for like you need to give me even more money.
Yeah.
No, that's
Read
code
my
word.
so much money.
Read my mind. Fuck you.
How did Professor X become Sean Connery?
Sure.
I gotta take you to Cerebro.
Well, they replaced him with Sean Connery midway through the film. Hope no one would notice.
That would be so good.
You're some sort of freaks.
Has there ever been a bald Sean Connery role?
Yeah, a lot of them. He's
Really?
bald now. Yeah.
Except
No,
for
no,
he's
but I mean
covered in
totally
hair
shaved.
everywhere.
No, they
Oh,
CGI hair.
Well, Professor X had a little bit of hair in this one.
What?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
radiation took
No,
everyone
it's
else's
because-
hair away.
I think they're kind of insinuating that like him using his powers was keeping him like bald. Yeah.
Huh. So this
They
is
took some liberties with this.
the
one.
story is what, like, it's sort of from the comics Old Man Logan and X-23 kind of combined.
I don't
want
want to give too much away. It's not a laugh riot. It's not like a it's not a fun time movie. It's action packed and pretty good. Pretty good from start to finish, but I don't want to say too much simply because there are a lot of spoilers like that would give certain things away.
Cool.
People who have read a lot of the books will kind of get it right away, but I don't want to mess it up for people who haven't.
Does he have? So he has a healing factor or no in this one? It's kind of like hinted that he doesn't in the trailer.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I guess that's not giving anything away. So he's getting old, and his healing factor is kind of given out.
And he's supposed to be older than anybody else, anyways. He's like 300
Right. Well, I
years
mean,
old.
if you trust the timeline of even the X-Men movies, he's been around since the Civil War. So
Right.
So he's over 100-something years old by the time this movie's out.
Like racism, Logan never dies.
Yes. Yes.
South will
And,
rise again and heal itself and sharpen its claws.
Adamantium.
Just like we always say, schnick, schnick, schnick.
Whistling Schnicksy.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's Logan. I thought it was pretty good, though.
Where'd you see it?
Saw it. It's pay-per-view.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. It's out on.
I saw the Draft House
VOD.
had a Logan Noir screening where they showed it in black and white.
The movie Logan in black and
That
white?
is so pretentious.
I know. Well, they did it with Mad
No, it's
Max,
probably-
right? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's any.
But
Mad
did
Max-
they only let women in?
That's what they're doing with Wonder Woman, right? And like driving people crazy.
They only let old dudes into the.
Yeah.
That'd actually be incredible.
They only let mutants in.
You have to be
watch Logan.
You have to retirement age and have like a known growth.
You're not a mutant. That's just a goiter.
Yeah. Get out, you.
I
Surgery.
am double jointed.
Get out.
But
and in the audience, it's just like, whatever, it's a Google Gobble.
It's like the Gremlins in the movie theater, throwing things and
bats are flying around and shit.
So a bunch of people, I'm sure, are going to get that Gremlins 2 reference. But anyway, we continue to make a podcast. But next week, though, who's up on deck next week? What are they talking about?
Why don't we do? Adam's going to go up next
Yep.
week.
Sounds good.
All right.
Adam, what are you talking about next week?
I'm talking about the song and I guess album. The song is "Burning" by The Whitest Boy Alive off the 2006 album Dreams. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about a couple of the other like ancillary projects from frontman of that band, Arland Uwe. I don't know how to speak Norwegian. Uwe. Play it backwards. I say it correctly. But yes, it's a good near and dear album to me.
Cool. So we'll have that up next week.
So if you want to be up on the action, just listen to that "Burning" by The Whitest Boy Alive.
Whitest, not
Boy.
widest.
Not
in
widest.
Case, yeah.
Yeah. So go listen to that and listen to us
that's
next week.
That's on Spotify, iTunes, the whole.
Anywhere
Yeah,
you
it's
get
pretty
music.
easy to, yeah.
But it's hard to get a hard copy of, and I'll discuss that next week. Hey, everybody, to find out more about where to watch Screamers or check out Logan or to learn more about...
Learn how to spell Adam's Twitter handle.
Yeah. Go to newtoshow.com. You can follow us on Twitter at newtoshow. And yeah, that's the ways to do it, I think. You can
I
go
think
on.
so.
There's not really a Facebook presence at all.
Nah.
I tell people about it on Facebook.
What do you think? Where this is the Arab Spring?
Exactly.
No. We don't use Facebook.
Go to iTunes, leave us a review, leave a comment. Also, just let us know what you think of the show. Again, either contact us directly, leave a comment on New Do Show, or email us through to the New Do Show website. There's some links there to where you can email us. And yeah, we're always excited to hear what you thought of what we talked about, because we definitely get feedback all the time.
Yeah. It's like, whew, so much work.
Man, all the time.
Answer all these emails.
So, gang,
maybe it's not new.
maybe it's new, but maybe
Maybe
it's
it's
new.
new.
It may not be new, gang, but maybe it's. I was a screamer the whole time. You guys.
Oh no, John Holt. Explosion sound.
It may not be new. Maybe it's new to you.
Pitiful life is all about the music. This pitiful life is all about the music. This pitiful life is all about the music. This pitiful life is all about the music.
Be with him together forever, without the limitation of time ever again. So the second coming of the Lord is not dead.